Okay, picture this. Valentine's Day, February 14th, 2008. There's this entrepreneur, Mike Michalowicz, super successful, made millions.
Yeah, felt like he had the Midas touch, right? Everything turning to gold.
Exactly. But that belief, that kind of arrogance, really, in his own King Midas thing, well, it led him somewhere pretty dark.
Down a terrifying path, yeah.
Because on that Valentine's Day, he found out he'd lost almost everything, like nearly every single penny.
It's hard to even imagine over $500,000 in savings just gone.
Gone. Plus investments. He looks at his bank account, and there's only $10,000 left. Just 10 grand.
Wow. And just when you think it couldn't get worse?
Right. The universe, or maybe just his accountant, decides to, twist the knife.
Delivers the final blow, basically.
Yeah. His accountant, Keith, calls him that morning. Calls it good news, ironically.
Oh, no. Wasn't the good news.
Mike owes $28,000 in taxes for 2007.
Oof. With $10,000 to his name.
And there's a $2,000 bill for Keith's services, due Monday.
So $30,000 due immediately with only $10,000 available? I mean...
He just put his head on his desk and cried. Just broke down.
That's such a raw image.
Yeah.
And it paints a picture of just total despair.
And later that night, Valentine's dinner with his family, he had to tell them. His little daughter's there, listening.
Oh, that's heartbreaking.
He choked it out. I lost everything, every single penny. He said he felt pure, unadulterated shame.
Wow, what a starting point, but also what a foundation for learning something profound.
It really is. And that experience, that rock bottom moment, is exactly why we're excited to talk about this today. Welcome, everyone, to Book Talk Finance on our channel.
Yeah, this is where we dig into those really impactful ideas from money and business, especially the ones learned the hard way, like this one.
Today, we're focusing on Mike Michalowicz's book, Profit First, a simple system to transform any business from a cash-eating monster to a money-making machine.
And Mike Michalowicz, he's not just some random guy. He wrote other really well-regarded books like The Pumpkin Plan, The Toilet Paper Entrepreneur.
Right. Michael Gerber called his stuff remarkable. Business Week said The Toilet Paper Entrepreneur was a business cult classic. So he's got credentials.
Definitely. He's knowledgeable, practical, surprisingly funny, actually, considering crying at his desk on Valentine's Day.
Right. He's credible, but also really relatable because he went through that fire. He learned so others wouldn't have to.
And he built this system out of that experience.
So that story, that's the setup for what he calls the Frankenstein formula, this ugly truth behind most businesses.
Yeah, it's not always what it seems on the surface.
It tells this insane story about a guy owning a $15 million company.
Oh yeah, the lawn furniture guy.
Yes. Furnished his whole house with plastic lawn chairs because he literally couldn't afford anything else. $15 million company. What's going on there?
It's what Mike calls the King Kong in the room. The big scary truth is most businesses, even the ones that look successful, are just barely surviving.
They're cash-eating monsters, as he puts it.
Exactly. And so much of this struggle is hidden, you know? You see entrepreneurs at networking events, they talk a big game, growth, deals.
Putting on the brave face.
But secretly, they're drowning in debt, maybe taking out loans just to make payroll. Sometimes they go years without paying themselves properly.
It's this awful cycle, isn't it? The business ends up controlling them.
Totally. And he traces it back to that standard accounting formula we all learn. Sales minus expenses equals profit.
Which he calls the Frankenstein formula. Why is that so bad? Why a monster?
Because profit is treated like an afterthought. It's just whatever's left over, if anything.
But usually there isn't much left over, is there? The business just eats it all.
Right. So he digs into how these money problems actually happen. There are two main ways. One is obvious.
Sales slow down. Can't pay the bills. Simple enough.
Yeah.
But the second way, this one's sneakier. It happens when sales speed up.
Wait, hang on. More sales is bad? How does that work? That's going to mess with people's heads.
It's totally counterintuitive, I know. But think about it. Income goes up. What happens next?
Expenses go up too. You hire more people, get a bigger office, maybe a fancier car.
Exactly. Expenses rise to meet the income. Your lifestyle locks in at that higher level. Then, inevitably, maybe there's a slow month or a dip.
And you can't cut back easily. You've got commitments, overhead.
You got it. It's Parkinson's law in action. Expenses expand to consume the available income. It's almost a natural law.
So managing abundance is as tricky as managing scarcity.
Wow.
He also mentions the recency effect. That one really hit me.
Oh, yeah, that's a big one. How we make decisions based on what our bank balance looks like right now.
Right. Big check comes in, you feel rich, optimistic, ready to spend. Accounts low, you panic.
Leads to that constant check-to-check, panic-to-panic roller coaster, always reacting, never planning.
And that panic leads to what he calls the survival trap. You're in crisis mode, so you just take any action to get some cash flow, even if it's a bad client, a low-profit project.
Something you know you probably shouldn't do long-term.
Exactly. It gives you temporary relief like a quick fix, but it actually makes the monster bigger because now you're stuck with unprofitable work or difficult clients.
It's like a crash diet for your business.
Hmm.
Doesn't last. He tells that story about Pete, right? Whose bank suddenly called in $1 million credit line.
Yeah, talk about a financial heart attack. Suddenly zero cash. It forces action, sure, but often desperate, unsustainable action.
Which brings us to the whole growth, grow obsession. Mike says focusing only on revenue, the top line, is just half the story.
It's like the bodybuilder analogy he uses. Huge arms, but toothpick legs.
Huh? Yeah. Looks impressive, but fundamentally weak. A $50 million company making only 2% profit. He calls that Frankenstein ugly.
But a smaller, say, $500,000 company that consistently pulls 80% combined in owner's pay and profit.
That's supermodel gorgeous. It's about health, not just size.
Precisely. So the solution, the core of profit first, is flipping that formula around.
Instead of sales expenses, profit.
It becomes sales profit expense.
How often comes first?
Yes. It seems like such a small change, just rearranging the words, but it's profound. Because it works with our natural human behavior, not against it.
It's behavioral finance, basically.
Exactly. It acknowledges how we actually act with money.
So how do you actually do that? How do you make that switch? I remember reading, he had this funny epiphany watching TV, something about diets.
He did. It's brilliant. He's watching these PBS infomercials about weight loss and has this light bulb moment. He realized those diet principles map directly onto business finance.
Okay, so what were they?
Principle 1, use small plates.
Okay. Smaller plates for food, so you eat less?
Yeah.
How does that apply to money?
You allocate your income into separate, dedicated bank accounts, smaller pots of money for specific jobs.
Got it. Like portion control for your cash. What's next?
2, serve sequentially.
Eat your veggies first.
You got it. Just like you'd eat the healthy stuff before dessert, you take your profit first. It's a non-negotiable priority, not leftovers.
Okay, makes sense. Small plates, serve profit first. What's the third one?
Remove temptation.
Yes. The chocodiles. His weakness.
Yeah, his chocolate-covered Twinkie kryptonite. If they're not in the pantry, he can't eat them. Same with money.
So make the money you shouldn't be spending.
Yeah.
Hard to spend.
Exactly. Money set aside for profit or for taxes needs to be harder to access than your main operating account. Out of sight, out of mind, less likely to be spent impulsively. Build guardrails.
It's about engineering your environment, not just relying on willpower. I like that.
And central to making this work is the shift to thinking in percentages.
Right. Because raw numbers can lie, can't they? Like that $1 million revenue business with $7 million in debt. Looks okay on the surface.
But it's a disaster waiting to happen. Percentages show the relationship between numbers. They reveal the true financial health.
That's how you get clarity, which lets you do his instant assessment.
Calculate your real revenue. First, that's your total income minus any direct costs like materials or subcontractors you pay out.
Okay, so your actual operational revenue.
Then you look at where that money is currently going percentage-wise, and you compare it to healthy targets. That's where you see where you're bleeding.
Enjoy that law firm example, right? That was eye-opening.
Totally. The assessment showed profit was short by like $118,000. Owners were taking $67,000 too much in pay relative to revenue, and operating expenses were $141,000 too high.
Ouch. Painful but necessary truth.
Absolutely. You have to know where the problems are before you can fix them.
So once you have that assessment, that clear picture, how do you set the right goals? How do you know what percentages to aim for?
That's where target allocation percentages, or TAPs, come in. These are your goals for each account: profit, owner's pay, tax, operating expenses.
And where do these TAPs come from? Do you just guess?
No, you can find benchmarks. Research public companies in your industry, see their typical margins. Or look at your own past tax returns, find your most profitable year by percentage, and use that as a starting point.
The book also gives suggestions, right?
Yep, he provides suggested TAPs based on revenue levels. The key thing is you don't jump straight to the target. You move towards it gradually, maybe adjusting by 1% per quarter. It makes it achievable.
Small, consistent steps.
Yeah.
Okay. And this all feeds into a regular rhythm, the 125 rhythm. Tell us about that.
This is the discipline part. All your income flows into one main income account first. Then, twice a month, on the 10th and 25th.
Like clockwork.
Like clockwork, you transfer money out of the income account into your separate accounts. Profit, owner's pay, tax, operating expenses according to your current allocation percentages, not necessarily your target ones yet.
So it's a consistent heartbeat for your finances, not just random transfers when you feel like it or when you panic.
Exactly. It forces the discipline. And a key part of that discipline is the owner's pay account.
He really emphasizes this, doesn't he? The owner needs to get paid.
Absolutely. He says the owner is the most important employee and must get paid consistently, just like anyone else.
And the percentage for that might change over time?
Yeah, for smaller businesses, the owner is the business, so their pay percentage might be quite high initially. As the business grows, builds systems, maybe hires a manager, that percentage might decrease.
Because the owner starts getting more income from the profit distributions instead.
Precisely, which is a sign of a really healthy, mature business.
Okay, then there's the tax account, the one everyone hates funding.
Huh. Yeah, the temptation is always to dip into it, reinvest it, especially when cash is tight.
But Mike says, don't touch it.
Don't touch it, period. Paying more tax is actually a good sign. It means you're profitable. Talk to your accountant quarterly, make sure you're setting aside enough. If profits go up, taxes go up. Embrace it.
It's a good problem to have, as they say. All right, what about the flip side expenses? If sales profit expenses, that means expenses have to shrink.
They do. And the first step is mandatory. Cut 10% right off the bat.
Just find 10%. How?
Look at everything. Cancel subscriptions you don't truly need. Negotiate every bill, vendors, rent, everything except maybe payroll. He even suggests drastic stuff like stopping all auto withdrawals.
Get new credit card numbers, too. Why that?
It forces you to become hyper-aware of every single charge. When you have to manually re-enter payment info for everything, you really question if you need it. It rips the Band-Aid off hidden, forgotten costs.
Brutal, but effective, I imagine. Okay, so you've set up the accounts, you're doing the 10-25 rhythm, you're cutting costs. What about actually enjoying the profit?
Ah, the quarterly profit distribution. The reward, the motivation. Every quarter, you look at your profit account. You take 50% of what's accumulated in there.
And paid out to yourself, the owner.
Yes. As a bonus, a reward for running a profitable business. The other 50% stays in the profit account.
Why leave half behind?
That builds your safety net. It starts as your oh shit fund for emergencies. But as it grows quarter after quarter, it becomes this holy cow, that's a lot of money fund.
Yeah.
It's your war chest, your rainy day fund.
So eventually, that leftover 50% builds up a substantial buffer.
Yeah, aiming for like a 3-month operating expense reserve. Once you hit that, the excess can potentially be reinvested strategically or used to fund your personal vault. It provides incredible peace of mind.
Okay, so that's the system. But how do you make it stick long term?
Well, Mike is really clear. Profitability isn't an event, it's a habit. It's about those small, consistent wins adding up.
Like the Weight Watchers example he uses.
Exactly. They don't tell people to lose 100 pounds tomorrow. It's lose 10% of your weight. Then once you hit that, aim for the next 10%. It builds momentum, confidence, makes it feel achievable.
And he talks about focusing on efficiency, not just sales. The Idaho water analogy.
Yeah, that's a great one. 95% of Idaho's water comes from underground aquifers, not just the rain everyone sees. He says 95% of profitability comes from beneath the surface, the efficiency, after the sale happens.
Not just doing more rain dances to get sales.
Right. It's about optimizing what you already have. Getting twice the results with half the effort. Being smarter, not just busier.
Which ties into the 80-20 rule, or what he calls the Pareto overlap.
We all know 20% of clients often bring 80% of revenue. But the overlap is realizing that roughly the same 20% of clients probably bring 80% of your profit.
Ah, so identify your most profitable clients, not just biggest revenue clients.
Yes. And then the strategy is twofold. First, fire your bad clients. The ones who drain your time, energy, resources for little profit.
That sounds terrifying, but also freeing.
It is. And second, actively clone your best clients. Figure out what makes them great, they pay on time, trust your judgment, need your most profitable services, and go find more people just like them.
That naturally makes you more efficient and profitable, and probably happier too.
And it becomes automatic marketing, because you're serving the right people who will rave about you.
Okay, systems, habits, efficiency. But what about just willpower? Doesn't it take discipline?
It does, but Mike's point is that willpower always fades eventually. Yours, mine, everyone's. That's why accountability is non-negotiable.
Like Gene Nidetch and Weight Watchers again. The power wasn't just the diet, it was the weekly group meetings.
Exactly. That shared accountability, that
Hmm.
support structure, it's 1% inspiration, 99% perspiration, and the group helps with the perspiration part.
So how do you build that for profit first?
He suggests two main ways: profit accelerator groups, or PAGs, and profit pods.
What's the difference?
PAGs are usually facilitated by certified profit-first professionals, accountants, bookkeepers, coaches who really know the system inside out. They can give you tailored advice, hold you accountable.
Be the bad cop sometimes, like negotiating with vendors for you.
Yeah, they can do that, save you real money. Profit pods are more informal peer-to-peer groups, just entrepreneurs getting together voluntarily to support each other through the process.
And what makes these groups work? What do they actually do?
Regular meetings are key, maybe bi-weekly. And transparency. He actually suggests sharing screenshots of your bank accounts within the group.
Whoa, really? That sounds intense.
It prevents the small cheats, keeps everyone honest, and it fosters that idea that the best student is always the teacher. When you have to explain your numbers, you understand them better yourself.
Like that story he tells about Ann Jeanette at winter camp, the pudgy girl who volunteered first to jump in the icy water.
Yes, such a powerful story. Because she did it, the unexpected one, everyone else felt they had to. By stepping up, she held herself and everyone else accountable.
Taking that leadership role, even in a peer group, locks in your own commitment.
It really does. You don't have to do this alone. Accountability makes it sustainable.
Now, this isn't just about business finances, is it? He makes a really strong point about personal finances, too.
Oh, absolutely critical. Your personal financial health and your business's financial health are, as he says, in lockstep, like Siamese twins.
Separating them takes surgical precision. You need to apply profit-first principles at home, too.
That means setting up personal small plate accounts, income, maybe bills, spending, and crucially, the vault.
The vault, that's the personal emergency fund.
Yep. Starts as the oh shit fund. Aim for 8 months of living expenses eventually, but just starting with 1 month's rent or mortgage payment is huge. Make it hard to access.
So you don't dip into it for pizza money.
Exactly. And over time, just like the business profit account, it grows from an emergency fund into a holy cow, that's a lot of money fund for your personal life, maybe generating passive income eventually.
What about personal debt? Credit cards, loans? How does profit first tackle that?
Systematically, as you pay down debt, say on a credit card, you quarterly call the credit card company and reduce your credit limit by 50% of the principal you just paid off.
So if you pay off $1,000, you reduce your limit by $500. Why?
It creates guardrails. It physically prevents you from easily running the balance back up. He says, forget your credit score for now. Focus purely on eradicating the debt. Get free first.
That's a different way of thinking about it. Freedom over score. I like it.
But cutting expenses personally or in business is hard, right?
We get attached to things.
Yeah, why is it so hard? Even when we know we should.
He talks about loss aversion. We hate losing something way more than we enjoy gaining something of equal value. And the endowment effect, we overvalue things just because we own them.
My precious. Even if it's just a subscription box I don't really need.
Exactly. That's why he pushes for the rip off the Band-Aid moment.
Don't just trim a little here and there, the ineffective dribs and drabs. No. Make a clean, decisive cut of all unnecessary expenses at once. Like when he finally got rid of his luxury cars and country club membership after his crash. It hurts, but it breaks through those psychological barriers.
Creates a truly fresh start.
And then, importantly, celebrate the wins. Even tiny ones.
When you make that profit distribution, even if it's small at first,
Yes. Take $50, go have a nice dinner, buy yourself something small. Reinforce the positive behavior. Train your brain to associate profit and saving with reward, not just deprivation.
that positive feedback loop sounds crucial.
It is. And finally, to keep things going personally, to fight Parkinson's law in your own life.
The lifestyle lock and wedge theory.
Right. As your income grows, you consciously decide not to inflate your lifestyle immediately. Keep it locked at the current level or close to it.
And the wedge.
Every time you get a raise or your business income bumps up, you take half of that increase the wedge and put it straight into the vault, your savings.
So your savings grow exponentially faster, but you still get to enjoy some of the increase.
Exactly. It's a balanced way to accelerate your path to financial freedom without feeling totally deprived.
Wow. And he even has versions for kids. Profit first kids.
Yeah, this is brilliant. Forget allowance. Give kids a chore list with pay rates. Then they divide their earnings into 4 envelopes or jars.
Let me guess. Give, save, spend.
And the vault for their own emergencies or long-term goals, like investing.
Teaches them the whole system from day one. Imagine graduating high school already understanding this.
The financial head start would be incredible. It's such a powerful, lasting gift.
So really, when you step back and look at it all, Mike Michalich's journey, from that Midas myth to crying at his desk to building this whole system, it's quite something.
It really is. The core message feels so clear, doesn't it? Financial freedom isn't about luck. It's a choice. It's about habits.
Small, consistent changes. Working with our messy human nature, not fighting it.
That Frankenstein monster business or even personal finances, that feels out of control. It can become that beautiful Clydesdale workhorse, strong, steady, profitable.
It's about building in that efficiency, that accountability, turning the chaos into something calm and predictable.
Yeah, transforming the whole experience of money.
So maybe the final thought for everyone listening is this. What's one small, consistent action you could take, maybe even starting today, to begin your own journey towards that kind of financial freedom?
That's the question. Just one small step.
We really hope this book talk has sparked some big aha moments for you. If you want more discussions and talks like this one.
Please subscribe to the channel. We'd love to have you back.